The deadbolt sliding home was like a gunshot in the fragile silence of my secret world. My father, Robert, the stern architect of my daily anxieties, was back hours earlier than I'd ever anticipated. And there I stood draped in the vibrant, forbidden expression of my true self, about to face the lifetime of his unyielding rigidity. Was this the moment our already strained bond would finally snap, or was it a beginning so profound I couldn't yet dare to imagine it? Have you ever stood on the precipice of a moment you knew could change everything? Don't forget to hit that like button if you believe in the power of transformation, subscribe for more heartfelt stories, and let me know in the comments, what does it truly mean to be seen by those you love? Growing up in our Maple Creek home, my father was the undisputed sovereign of strictness. His rules were law, governing everything from my wardrobe choices to the cadence of my speech, and his expectations were Mount Everest, lofty and unshakable. As a teenager, my life often felt like a perilous tiptoe across a floor strewn with eggshells, a desperate dance to meet his towering standards, while simultaneously trying to unearth who I was beneath the weight of his decrees. One crisp Saturday afternoon, a rare gift of solitude fell upon me. My parents had ventured out for the day. My heart thrummed with a rebellious, exhilarating energy. This was my chance. I decided to experiment to unfurl a style that was unapologetically me, bold, vibrant, a stark contrast to the muted existence I usually curated for his approval. Standing before the mirror, I meticulously adjusted the ensemble, a surge of unfamiliar confidence warming me as the reflection of my authentic self gazed back. In that precious, uninhibited moment, I felt powerful, true, seen if only by myself. Lost in this euphoric bubble of self-expression, I didn't register the subtle click of the front door unlocking. Before the reality could pierce my joy, my father had returned. He stepped into my room. Time didn't just slow, it fractured. My heart hammered against my ribs like a trapped bird. I braced for the storm, the inevitable lecture, the flash of anger in his eyes, the familiar crushing weight of his disappointment. This was the confrontation I'd spent years mentally rehearsing and dreading. Yet instead of the anticipated explosion, an unnerving silence descended. My father simply stood there, his gaze sweeping over me, absorbing the scene with an unnerving stillness. His stern, almost perpetually furrowed brow seemed to soften the rigid lines around his mouth, easing almost imperceptibly. After what felt like an agonizing eternity, he drew a deep, measured breath. Then in a calm, almost hesitant tone that sent shivers down my spine, he said, I never knew you felt this way." The words, so devoid of accusation, so unexpectedly gentle, caught me utterly off guard. There wasn't a trace of anger, no hint of judgment, only a quiet, bewildered understanding that resonated louder than any shout could have. In that single suspended instant, years of accumulated anxiety, of gnawing fear began to dissipate like morning mist. I had always armed myself for battle, convinced my choices, my true self, would never find acceptance in his eyes. But here he was in this crucible moment, choosing not condemnation, but connection, choosing love over ingrained expectation, compassion over unbending tradition. "I just want you to be happy." He continued, his voice still quiet yet firm with a newfound sincerity. "I may not understand all of this, but I love you, no matter what." Tears, hot and unrestrained, welled in my eyes. The suffocating burden of secrecy, the constant dread of discovery lifted, replaced by an overwhelming tidal wave of relief and a dawning fragile sense of acceptance. From that pivotal day forward, our relationship began a metamorphosis I could never have orchestrated or even dreamed of. Oh, we still had our differences, moments of disconnect, but a profound shift had occurred. My father began to make a genuine, sometimes clumsy, but always sincere effort to understand the person I was, not just the child he expected me to be. Instead of dictating the narrative of my life, he started to listen, truly listen to my words, my silences, my unspoken fears, and fledgling hopes. In return, a timid courage bloomed within me. I started to open up to trust that his support, however new and untested, might actually be unconditional. As time unfolded, Dad began to tentatively explore my world. Our initial conversations were often awkward, pocked with long, uncomfortable silences as we both navigated this unfamiliar terrain. Yet, bless his heart, he never stopped trying. One afternoon, he came home with a book about individuality, about self-expression. The gesture, so unexpected, so out of character, warmed me to my core. It was a silent, powerful signal of his willingness to learn, to evolve, to meet me where I was. What small gesture from a loved one has ever spoken volumes to you? Sometimes it's these quiet acts that bridge the widest divides, isn't it? If you agree, let us know in the comments, and remember to subscribe for more stories about the incredible resilience of the human heart. I vividly recall one serene evening sprawled on the porch swing, watching the sunset bleed hues of fiery orange and soft lavender across the sky. He turned to me, his expression thoughtful, and asked, "Tell me, when did you first know? When did you realize it was time to be you?" That simple question, devoid of judgment, rich with genuine curiosity, held a universe of meaning. It wasn't a demand for justification. It was an open invitation to share the most vulnerable, sacred parts of my journey. And so I told him. I spoke of the years steeped in confusion, the relentless gnawing fear of disappointing him, the countless nights I'd wished I could be someone else, anyone else, just to make life feel less like a battle. And through it all, he listened. Truly, deeply listened. With each shared secret, each acknowledged fear, the roots of our connection burrowed deeper. My mother Eleanor, always the gentle mediator, the quiet empath in our family dynamic, also began to actively participate in understanding the person I was becoming. For years, she had masterfully balanced my father's stringent ways with her soothing presence, but even she confessed with a soft sigh that she hadn't truly seen all of me until that transformative afternoon. With both my parents slowly, painstakingly beginning to appreciate the entirety of who I was, I finally felt a profound sense of being wholly seen, deeply understood, and unconditionally supported. That day wasn't just a turning point in our household. It was the genesis of a profound journey for all of us. A journey where love in its most courageous form triumphed over rigid expectation, where understanding diligently replaced judgment, and where the raw courage to be oneself and to allow others the same grace illuminated even the most shadowed corners of our hearts. In that fragile, earth-shattering moment of acceptance, my father had done something truly extraordinary. He had chosen to embrace me, all of me, and in doing so, he had unlocked a door to a new, infinitely deeper and more authentic connection between us. For that, my gratitude will be eternal. His unwavering support became my bedrock, encouraging me to explore my interests, to unfurl my true colors, and he even became my staunchest defender when puzzled or critical whispers arose from extended family. For the very first time, I felt not just tolerated, but truly cherished by my family. One of the most significant affirmations of this new reality came on a warm weekend afternoon. Dad's old friends were gathered in our backyard, the air filled with the scent of grilled food and the comfortable rumble of shared stories. One of them made a lighthearted, slightly off-key comment at my expense. In the past, I would have braced myself for Dad's uncomfortable silence, his way of avoiding confrontation. But this day was different. Clearing his throat, his voice firm and resonant, he said, "That's my kid you're talking about, and I'm incredibly proud of who they are." A hush fell. The conversation didn't just shift, it recalibrated. Some of his friends nodded, a glimmer of understanding in their eyes. Others looked surprised, perhaps even taken aback. But in that moment, my father's stance was irrefutably clear. I was his child, and he would stand by me unequivocally. Later that evening, as we sat together in the fading light, I hugged him with a ferocity born of years of unspoken yearning. "Thank you," I whispered, my voice thick with emotion. He patted my back gently, his own voice a little rough. "You don't ever have to thank me for loving you, Alex." In that simple, profound exchange, I fully grasped the magnitude of his love. A love that transcended expectation, defied tradition, and simply was. This journey, however, wasn't a seamless fairy tale. There were still stumbles, moments of regression times when Dad wrestled visibly with letting go of deeply ingrained thought patterns, but slowly, patiently, through countless conversations, shared laughter, and even a few tears, we were learning, evolving, growing together. We were building a new foundation, one mortared with love, trust, and a hard one, mutual respect. Each day brought small victories, tiny steps towards deeper understanding, a gradual unfurling of old fears. Looking back, the sheer courage it took for my father to embark on such a profound internal shift astounds me. He had spent a lifetime tethered to one way of thinking, one set of beliefs, and yet when confronted with the undeniable truth of who I was, he chose to pry open his heart rather than slam the door. That kind of love, the love that actively chooses understanding over judgment, that perseveres even when the path of change is arduous and unfamiliar, is an incredibly rare and precious thing, isn't it? What do you think it takes for someone to truly change their long-held beliefs for the sake of a loved one? I'd love to read your thoughts in the comments. And if this story of transformation resonates with you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content that celebrates the enduring power of the human spirit. Now, years later, our relationship is a testament to that transformative power. It's stronger, more resilient, more authentic than I ever thought possible. My dad has become my most ardent supporter, my confidant, the one person I know I can unfailingly count on, no matter the storms life may bring. Whenever I reflect on that pivotal moment, the instant he walked in and saw me not as an extension of his expectations, but as my own distinct self, I no longer feel the icy grip of fear. Instead, my heart swells with a profound, enduring gratitude. In that defining, terrifying instant, he didn't just see a version of me, he chose to accept all of me. And that single courageous act of acceptance has not only transformed both our lives, but has also illuminated our path forward, a path now paved with hope, boundless love, and unwavering support. It taught me that the most beautiful transformations often begin with one courageous choice, the choice to love unconditionally.